So we move into the hot topics area of the course. Let's take a look at the 10 key areas that I've picked out. First one for me is an obvious one: talent management. Now, this has come up before, recently, in fact, this year. Talent management, this business relies, for me, on the talent of its staff, in particular, the tendering team. They're salespeople. They pitch and they do it very, very well. Talent management is an important area for any business. Staff are key, obviously, to any business. Let's simply revise the basics and be ready for this topic. Next area for us is performance. Now, clearly, from the limited information that we have, improvement of performance is important. Now, we know that SBL is littered with several different areas. Let's think about them, whether or not it's the models or indeed the whole area of investment, etc., etc. The improvement of performance is key. Maybe it's going to be, a straightforward balance scorecard type question. Let's say, for example, they surmise that the reason that they're having issues in terms of falling OPMs is the whole area of non-financial areas not being measured. What get measured get done. Okay, so let's revise those areas. I've touched on them when we touched on the whole area of non-financial KPIs. Let's get up to speed on that. Revise the basics. Next area is something that I haven't mentioned so far in the course, but I thought I'd include it as a hot topic because of the fact that this company is clearly very well led. Leadership, this is the leadership exam. Leadership's examined. We're talking about theories, styles. Now, it may well be, and we're not told anything, that these two partners have different styles. It may well be that the managers have different styles. We need to be familiar with the key leadership theories within the SBL syllabus, because the bottom line is that with such a small company, their success and their future is hinged on how they're led. Next area for us is BPR, and the reason I've included this is really in terms of this particular pre-scene, the number of times that either the word process but particularly systems is mentioned, and they're clearly up on this area in terms of why systems and indeed processes are so important to the success of an EM business. We see within the pre-scene that they've honed and refined their, for example, tendering system quite clearly in just numerous ways, and they now have it off pat. But there are a number of other systems in play and indeed processes that are relevant. So this is an obvious one for this style of business. Next is one that I would include probably in every top 10 list, because ethics comes up regularly. Broadly speaking, one of the big topic areas is some sort of dilemma and steps to deal with it. If it's not that, it's going to reference the code itself, threats in some way, shape, or form, self-interest, advocacy, intimidation, etc., etc., and indeed the safeguards that could be put in place to deal with those threats. When I say revise AAA, the American Association of Accounting has a lovely, I think, 7-part set of steps to deal with an ethical dilemma. But dealing with ethics, probably some of the easiest marks in the paper outside of Mendelow's matrix. Dealing with ethics is common sense, okay? We assess the facts. We look at the legal side. We consider alternative courses of action. We look at our internal processes. What are we supposed to do in this scenario? We look at possibly some external resources, maybe the institute, maybe get some advice. Then in terms of that range of options, let's choose one, implement it, and indeed monitor. So ethical dilemmas and the whole area of ethics let's be ready for the topic. This one here is a funny one, and students balk at this sometimes when I put it in, but I've been teaching case study exams for 15 years. The strategic benefits and risks of X. Now, you'll say, what is X? Anything. You know, look at the past requirements. This strategic bends and risk type question comes up regularly in the SBL exam and indeed in other case study exams. It doesn't matter what X is. It could be the implementation of a new system, could be the acquisition. I mean, when we think of a strategic option, because it will be that, generally speaking, there's going to be pluses and minuses. Well, if it works, we'll be more efficient, effective. Perhaps revenue will increase. We'll increase our margins. You know, we'll have a better motivated workforce. The flip side is also true. Well, it'll affect motivation, or it'll cost us a lot of money and not work, etc., etc. So my point is that we can come pre-prepared for broadly any form of question on strategic benefits and risk. And yet, when I mark papers that have the requirement strategic benefits and risk, sometimes, you know, good 20-30% of the time, 40% even, not dealt with well. Why not? I don't understand. We can walk into the exam, so to speak, ready for a strategic benefits and risk question. Next area for us, again, our old favourites. I had to include them because they get examined. You know, not specifically, but they get wheeled out in answers. Both of them, along with pest. So, let's be savvy with the models. You will have heard the walkthrough within the strategic analysis, but I'm talking about the bones of each of the model. Understand them. And remember what I said about these sort of strategic models or tools, if you will. Note that if they are going to be in play in a requirement, there's going to be an add-on. It's not going to be straight. So if you're writing out your answer saying, oh, this is all I know about Porter's Five Forces, you're going to lose marks. Watch for the twist, okay? Outside of that, number 8, disruptive tech and AI. Again, probably something that I'd always include in the top 10 list for the inclusion in the syllabus. And indeed, how important this area is to all of us, and indeed how much is impacted upon industries across the board. Now, this is referenced in the pre-scene we see in the tech and innovation section. Let's get savvy with those areas, but not go crazy. Definitions, how it works, possible issues in implementation. Let's also go online. Let's see what EM businesses are doing in the tech area. Is there something new? Maybe we could quote it. Number 9 for us, again, this is a little bit loose, maybe one of the less of a probability to appear, but it has appeared before. And you know what? It's marks for old rope. You know, investment appraisal is fairly straightforward. At this level of our studies, we're familiar with the main techniques. We're familiar with IR. We're familiar with NPB. Let's revise them and make sure that we're clear on the assumptions, because generally speaking, it's sort of going to be an after the event. We might get presented with, let's say, some set of investment appraisal numbers and asked to comment on them, critique them, etc. You're very, very straightforward. Very straightforward. Let's not lose marks in this area. Next area for us is, I think, one of the big ones. I'd put this probably top 3 or 4. There's no order to this 1 to 10. But certainly, change management is very popular in case study exams. But for this particular precinct, project management, I think, is important. I've mentioned it elsewhere. Let's not be anywhere near this exam without having honed our knowledge and revised PM. Change management, always in play in case study exams. Look at the main theories there, Lewin, Cotter and Schlesinger, etc., etc. Okay? So that's really the top 10 list. You never know, we may get lucky, and if we do, it could be the difference between, you know, a pass and a fail, or a good mark and a very good mark. So my suggestion is this: you can buy into them or not, but you never ever know. Okay? I hope you found that helpful and that your studies are going well. Cheers.